Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 17th annual Maine Women's Hall of Fame induction ceremony. What a wonderful group that we have today. I greeted most of you at the front door, and I'm glad to say welcome again today from the podium. We are here to honor a very special lady by the name of the Right Reverend Chilton Knudsen, Bishop of the Episcopal Church of Maine. I do hope that you took a few minutes to look at the membership table that was in where the silver tea was held today, and that perhaps you found some information that was of interest to you or to someone that you know. And may I remind you that our scholarship program is available to the working women and to high school girls and boys, or young men, I should say. And please take some of this information back to your local areas. At this time, I would like to have Josh Nadell from the university to come up and speak to you.
I often wonder how I get. I have a great phobia about public speaking. I wonder how I got to this position. On behalf of UMA President Randall, the University of Maine Assistant Chancellor, Westfall, and the University of Maine Augusta Board of Visitors, the students, faculty, and staff of UMA, I welcome all of you to this day of recognition and celebration of Bishop Knudsen, whose life and work has so notably influenced the lives of Maine's women and therefore improved the lives of all Maine residents. UMA is honored to be the home of the Maine Women's Hall of Fame. While our display area may be modest, it is extremely important to us, and we believe fitting that it's housed on this campus. Because 75% of UMA's student population is female, a part-time working mom, and in her mid-30s. A key goal of the Maine Federation of Business and Professional Women parallels that of UMA, namely to help women achieve economic self-sufficiency through education. In addition to the classroom opportunities at UMA, we, since 1978, have been the home of the Maine Centers for Women Working Community, formerly the Center for Displaced Homemakers. Chilton Ardone, the Center's Executive Director and honoree of the Hall in 1993, has been at its helm since its inception and an integral member of the UMA community. Eloise Vitale, another leader in the Center since 1981, was honored by you in 1995 for her development of the New Ventures training program, as well as the founding of the Women's Business Development Corporation. As many of you know, 2 years ago, our Board of Trustees approved a strategic plan that merged our campus of the University of Southern Maine, and the Bangor campus of UMA Orono. A 1999 inductee of the Women's Hall of Fame, Libby Mitchell, led the charge to reverse that portion of the plan. On Monday, the day after tomorrow, the Board of Trustees will vote to amend their plan and retain UMA as an autonomous campus with an autonomous university. They haven't voted yet. With a campus in Bangor. I was going to leave us alone. UMA is eternally grateful, and we truly are, to Libby for her focused and unflagging support of us. Assuming the vote goes as we believe, hope it will on Monday, the end product of the past 2 years of wrangling and negotiation will be a stronger and more committed UMA that will deliver high-quality education to the citizens of Central and Mid-Coast Maine to meet the needs of the 21st century. Again, UMA is delighted you are here and grateful for the opportunity to host this day of celebrations. A special note of thanks and congratulations to Bishop Knudsen for all you have done and will continue to do to improve the quality of life in Maine. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Jean Hammond, President of the Futurama Foundation, an organization of BPW Maine. And on behalf of the foundation, I want to extend a very warm welcome to all of you who are here today. And thank you for coming to help us celebrate Maine and the nation's Women's History Month. Women's History Month. 1 month out of how many? Do women accomplish only 1/12 of what men accomplish? Are women only 1/12 as valuable to society as are men? Or is this merely a wrong perception? Well, it seems there's just a bit of inequality there. Historians, and in particular historians who have written about the state of Maine, have generally pursued traditional perspectives in recording the events and forces that have shaped our society. Perhaps historians have focused on such things as wars, international relations, labor problems, and the laws which govern us. History records names of the men who have traditionally dealt with these issues. Is it not realized that women have had at least indirect impact on such events? Wars. American women had a presence in the American Revolution, in the Civil War, in the Great War of World War I and II, and women are in Iraq. Labor unions? Of course women are there, and rightfully so, for women have always been a significant percentage in the workforce. And laws, legal issues? Well, perhaps women were, shall we say, overlooked by the framers of our Constitution, but women have been lawmakers in Congress since Jeanette Rankin of Montana was elected to the House of Representatives in 1916, and in the Maine legislature since Dora Pinkham was elected in, I think, 1923. And of course, we're proud that we have Maine women in the National Senate, and they are certainly making significant impacts and have great accomplishments in that area. Well, a woman in the White House? Many exemplary first ladies have been there. In 1870, Victoria Claflin Woodhull announced her candidacy for president. Obviously, she was not taken seriously. May we predict a woman will be elected to that position in the foreseeable future? Well, there is far too much of women's history to present here today. There are far too many women who have made historical differences in Maine for us to recognize them all here today. So if there's just too much of women's history to cover in these few minutes, what can we talk about? We can seriously consider how American women are quietly erasing political, racial, class, and religious lines to change the way we live. I'm quoting now from What Women Really Want, published in 2005 by Celinda Lake and Kellyanne Conway, who said that women are the most powerful force reshaping the future of America. Stronger than political parties, mightier than religious differences, able to leap cultural schisms in a single bound. Women are quietly exerting a unified power to make changes in our culture and in our commerce, meeting in the middle to achieve their goals. But they're not using traditional means such as getting together and voting or banging on closed doors to demand equal access. In virtually every arena where American women are causing a sea change, they are bypassing the traditional settings that ignore their needs and are creating parallel circuits, which in turn then affect the old standards. Across political, religious, racial, and class differences, this new vital female center is heralding the most significant change in American culture in the past century. Today, with this ceremony, inducting Reverend Chilton Knudsen, who represents women who are making history, into the Maine Women's Hall of Fame. We are also celebrating, respectfully, the women who have made our Maine history, and with sureness and optimism, the women who will make history in our future. The Women's Hall of Fame is unique in the state of Maine, and nearly so around the country, for there are very few halls of fame in any states in the United States. Maine is a state of strong people, people who value innovation, independent thinking, and people who help each other. We like to think that in this ceremony of appreciating Maine women who have made a difference, who have achieved an important role in society, that we too are making a difference in history. It's why we're here today, and why we're reminded that as Maine goes, so goes the nation. Again, our thanks to you for sharing this ceremony with the Maine Women's Hall of Fame. And now I would like to introduce Sally Ann Parks, Chair of the Maine Women's Hall of Fame. Thank you.
As you can see, we get used to following each other back and forth. I raise it up, Jean lowers the microphone. As Chair of the Maine Women's Hall of Fame, I would like to welcome all of you here this afternoon. Thanks to BPW Maine President Marilyn Ladd, Josh Nadell, Executive Vice President and Provost of the University of Maine at Augusta, and to Jean Hammond, the President of the BPW Maine Futurama Foundation, for extending greetings from the three co-sponsors of the Maine Women's Hall of Fame. Each year's ceremony has been held here at the University of Maine in Augusta during the month of March, in observance of Women's History Month. During the 17 years, the University of Maine has generously provided a site for the display of photographs and citations of each honoree, as many of you saw during the Silver Tea. The event is held annually on the third Saturday of March. We hope that you did enjoy the Silver Tea that was arranged for you by the Silver Tea Committee, that each of you signed in at the registration table and at the guest book. And at the Hall of Fame table, there were scrapbooks of the previous inductions and a display of books by and about several honorees. The Hall of Fame itself is dedicated to women who have met three specific criteria. 1, a woman's achievement have had a significant statewide impact. 2, a woman's achievement significantly improved the lives of women in Maine. And 3, a woman's contribution has enduring value for women. Nominations were submitted by a variety of organizations, businesses, individuals. The independent panel of judges reviewed the nomination with careful consideration to select 1 or 2 honorees each year to be inducted. At this time, we'd like to honor any previous inductees who are present today. Is anyone here other than Sharon Abrams? Sharon? Would you please stand? This afternoon, Sherry can relax and enjoy. A couple of years ago, she was right up here in the middle of things, and we learned why she is so important to be here in the Hall of Fame. We were saddened this past year with the passing of two of our previous inductees. One, last fall, Elizabeth Liz Crandall, who was inducted in 1996, and this past winter with Maple Wadsworth, who was inducted in 1990, the first year of this annual event. When the invitations were sent out, I received a letter back from another previous inductee, Ethel Billy Gammon, who was honored here in 1997. She included a letter and an announcement in the RSVP. She wrote, "I was thinking of you all when I recently attended visiting hours for Hilda Corkum, who died on February 21st. She was a kind person who nominated me to the Maine Women's Hall of Fame, and you others were so kind as to make all this happen for me. I consider it a great honor, and now I have another honor. University of Maine at Orono has published an oral history of my life for the Folklore and Oral History Department. I enclose a flyer about it for you with this note. I had a mild stroke in mid-October, and I will be 90 in July. I'm slow in recovering my strength. I don't go far from home these days, so I cannot join you for the upcoming event. Please know that I will be forever grateful that you are so generously there to give me this great honor." On a table with the books for the previous inductees, I provided some copies of the information sheet about the book and how it can be ordered. So if anyone of you would like to learn more about one of our previous inductees, please feel free to take a copy of this. The book is entitled No Flies on Bill, the story of an uncontrollable old woman, my grandmother, Ethel Billy Gammon, by Darcy Gammon Wakefield. 292 pages, $15. A review of this by Professor Martha McNamara, Department of History at the University of Maine, quotes, "This is a fascinating reflection on the life of an accomplished public historian through a series of oral history interviews conducted by her author historian granddaughter. It is an amazing story that illuminates the real joys and real struggles of one woman's life in Maine during the 20th century. The author deftly crafts the story with historical narrative, quotes from her grandmother, her own reflections, and a few memories from other informants. It is written in an engaging and lively style that will be of great interest to readers of Northeast folklore." So if you'd like afterwards and you didn't pick up a sheet about it, please do, and learn more about one of our great inductees. At this time, I would like to have the Proclamation for Women's History Month read by Linda Huff from Waterville BPW.
State of Maine proclamation. Whereas March has been annually designated as the National Women's History Month in order to celebrate the contributions of women in our society, and whereas the theme for the National Women's History Month 2006 is Women, Builders of Communities and Dreams, honoring the spirit of the possibility and hope set in motion by generations of women in their creation of communities and their encouragement of dreams. And whereas women from all walks of life inspire hope and possibility, and whereas women provide leadership in the public and private spheres, and whereas women can promote and lead positive change in their lives, families, and communities, and whereas the state of Maine is known and respected for its long list of accomplished women, and whereas we honor and celebrate such notable women from our past, including Margaret Chase Smith, Dorothea Dix, Rachel Carson, Samantha Smith, Edna St. Vincent Millay, and Harriet Beecher Snow. And whereas this month provides an opportunity to honor and celebrate all those Maine women who have provided hope and inspiration through their daily actions. Now, therefore, I, John E. Baldacci, Governor of the State of Maine, do hereby proclaim March 2006 as Women's History Month throughout the state of Maine, and urge all citizens to join in this observance. In testimony whereof I have caused the great seal of the state to be hereunto affixed, given under my hand at Augusta this 14th day of March, in the year of our Lord 2006. Signed, John Baldacci, Governor.
Thank you very much, Linda. The Honorable Thomas Allen, Member of Congress, provided a letter for today's ceremony. This will now be read by Jerry Martin, immediate past president of DPW Maine.
Thank you, Sally. Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the Maine DPW past state presidents and a member of the Fort Kent DPW, I would too like to say congratulations. The letter reads, Dear Bishop Knudsen, congratulations on being selected to join the Maine Women's Hall of Fame. I am sorry that I will not be able to attend your induction on March 18th. As one of the first women to be ordained an Episcopal priest and one of the only 5 women diocesan Episcopal bishops, you have created a proud legacy for women and girls that will long endure. While the responsibilities of these pioneering positions have had great and the strains of office sometimes intense, you have brought great self-awareness, compassion, faith, and tolerance to your work. You have not only helped your parishioners and clergy immensely in churches small and large, urban and rural, but you have set an example of support for a community that has affected people throughout Maine. It is therefore most fitting that you will join the ranks of the 27 esteemed Maine women who have previously been honored since the Hall of Fame was established. Sincerely, Tom Allen, Member of Congress.
Thank you very much, Jerry. The Honorable Olympia Snow, United States Senate, has provided a letter that will now be read by her regional representative, Deb McNeil.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Sally. It's a great honor for me to be here to represent Senator Snow. She was very honored in 1999 to be inducted into the Women's Hall of Fame. She extends her regret that she was unable to be with you today. She knows how excited you must be feeling. She has provided a letter, and it says, Dear friends, I am honored to extend my greetings and best wishes as you gather to celebrate the 17th Annual Maine Women's Hall of Fame induction ceremony. It is fitting that this special occasion is held during Women's History Month, and I thank you for allowing me to be part of this great tradition. This annual event is a wonderful opportunity to recognize a special woman who has worked tirelessly for the benefit and well-being of the citizens of Maine, and the Right Reverend Chilton Knudsen is indeed that special woman. As one of the first women to be ordained priest and only one of 5 diocesan Episcopal bishops, she has dedicated her life not only to her church, but to the men and the women of Maine. She has led the women of this state by example and commitment into understanding their ability and their gifts, and to taking their place in the leadership of their church and state. I am pleased and honored to send Reverend Knudsen my congratulations and best wishes on receiving this tremendous honor, and join each of you in expressing appreciation for her vision and her leadership. Sincerely, Olympia J. Snow, United States Senator.
For joining us today. And at this time, it is my pleasure to say that we are honoring one Maine woman here today for induction into the Maine Women's Hall of Fame. the Right Reverend Chilton Knudsen, Episcopal Bishop of Maine since 1998. At this time, I would like to invite her and her presenters to please come forward, and the presentation will be emceed by Lisa Meader Turnbull, Missioner for Stewardship of the Episcopal Diocese of Maine.
Thank you, Sally Ann. And a special thanks to the Maine Federation of Business and Professional Women, the Futurama Foundation, and the University of Maine at Augusta for this lovely afternoon. It's wonderful to be together celebrating the achievements of Maine's outstanding women. When I arrived in Maine in the fall of 2004, I had an appointment to meet with Bishop Knudsen. I had arrived in May, but my clothes had not. The fall weather was progressing rapidly. I made an emergency trip to my favorite store, grabbed the first salesperson who made eye contact, and said, "Find me something." As I stepped out of the fitting room, another woman popped her head over her door and said, "Did I hear you say you were meeting with the Bishop of Maine?" I said yes, and assuming she was Episcopalian, asked her where she worshiped. "Oh, I don't even go to church. Everyone just knows how wonderful their bishop is." That was my introduction to how one woman, simply by her ministry of presence, could permeate the identity and become part of Maine women. We're now going to get to know Chilton a little better through the voices of 4 Maine women, each of whom has experienced her ministry and presence in their own unique ways. First, would Evelyn Rowland please join me? A cradle Episcopalian, Evelyn is co-owner of the Apple Tree House Bed and Breakfast on Swans Island. She is a past president of the Maine Federation of Business and Professional Women and vice president of the Futurama Foundation. Evelyn is the one who set this honor in motion, spearheading Bishop Knudsen's nomination in collaboration with the Diocese of Maine.
Many of you know me. I stood at this microphone 5 years ago when I was president of Maine Business and Professional Women and greeted you. I have been involved in BPW for more than 20 years and have been vice president of the Futurama Foundation for about 4 years. I was baptized in the Episcopal Church as a small child. My life as a committed layperson has become increasingly important to me. For many years, women were unable to serve in most roles in our church. Altar, guild, and choir were my only options growing up. In recent years, many possibilities have opened up. When Bishop Chilton came to Maine, it was like a breath of fresh air. She has been an inspiration to many women all across the state, and she has provided an eye-opening experience to many men. The Business and Professional Women, founded in 1919, aims to be the leading advocate for working women and is striving to obtain equal pay for equal work for all women, as well as access to affordable health care. The Futurama Foundation was established to provide scholarships to women pursuing higher education. It now presents 7 $1,200 scholarships each spring. I have attended many of our induction ceremonies and found myself thinking that our bishop was very qualified. I knew that her staff would have access to the supporting material, so I leaned on them to complete the application. The induction of the Right Reverend Chilton R. Knudsen into the Maine Women's Hall of Fame brings together 2 important areas of my life, and I find it very exciting.
Thank you, Evelyn. Would the Reverend Ann Lovejoy Johnson please come forward? Anne is rector of St. Philip's Episcopal Church in Wiscasset, and she is the youngest of the many women who have been ordained to the priesthood by Bishop Knudsen. We are blessed to have women such as Anne serving in our congregation.
Bishop Knudsen, honored women and other guests, thank you for the blessing of this wonderful occasion. I'm honored and humbled to be able to share my thoughts with you about my bishop. Shortly after the bishop asked me to speak today, I received another invitation to a special event, one at my niece's kindergarten. It's called Hooray for You Day. Each child gets a hooray day during the year when her family is invited to come to class. That morning, each kid drew a page for her Hooray for You book. Her mother read the book out loud, and we ate ice cream sundaes at 11 a.m. A very exciting and special day. Bishop, this is your Hooray for You Day, and I'm honored to be able to draw a picture for your book. I met Bishop Knudsen when I was a seminarian almost 10 years ago now. I knew her then as the voice of welcome, sitting with new students during orientation week. Fast forward 6+ years to this picture. I have come to Maine to interview for a rector's position. Part of this visit was to meet with the bishop. I was curious if she even remembered me or knew the particulars of my long journey in the ordination process. I wasn't sure what to expect, but I had two burning questions. How insane are the people at this parish? And can I do it? Our conversation began with her telling me this was my time. She was here for me to answer all my questions. Well, I was so overcome by her collegiality and warmth, I think I forgot all about my first question. But I did ask her my second, can I do this? To which she replied, yes, you can do it if this is God's call. I was transformed by the bishop's genuine respect of me and my journey, of my gifts and talents, respected as a young woman. I was embraced by her fully and completely and allowed to be who I was and am. Just imagine how confident I was going into my interview after this. She thinks I can do it. And this is only one such experience when I heard a hooray, when I felt encouraged and appreciated, respected as a fellow minister and a capable leader. Today, Bishop, we gather to say hooray for you, to acknowledge that you are a woman of great depth, honor, and love, and that you have served God and the people of Maine faithfully and well. Thank you for your part in my journey. Thank you for being you. Hooray for you, good Bishop. And to go with my illustration for your commemorative book from the Maine Women's Hall of Fame, I have for you your very own copy of the kindergarten event's namesake, Hooray for You.
I now call upon the Venerable Audrey Delafield of St. Albans Episcopal Church in Cape Elizabeth. Audrey is a member of the Standing Committee of the Diocese of Maine, and she is one of 2 archdeacons in the diocese, a capacity in which she assists the bishop in the formation of deacons.
When I was a little girl living in Freeport, Margaret Chase Smith was the Republican senator of this wonderful state of Maine. My father had met her a couple of times, and I remember how much he admired and respected her.
He spoke of her so often and always in the most glowing terms. I remember very well sitting in the back seat of our old beach wagon, listening as he and my mother talked about what a terrific woman she was, how good she was for me, what a gracious addition she was to the political scene. And I also remember thinking how truly bizarre it was that they were talking about a woman. A woman in the Senate, in Washington? That was extraordinary to me as a little girl. And that was a long time ago. What strides we have made, a very long time ago. We now have 2 women senators from Maine, and we have a woman bishop. Church and state have common ground. Margaret Chase Smith was a wonderful example for everyone, but especially, perhaps, for a little girl like me, who thought that, of course, only men could wield any power in government. And at that time, it was unthinkable that women could be ordained in the Episcopal Church, let alone wield any episcopal authority whatsoever. I watched my brother as he was ordained a priest, but there surely was no hope that I might follow in his footsteps. That would be truly bizarre. Obviously, I know Chilton Knudsen through that same Episcopal church that so happily ordained my brother, but which would never have dreamed of ordaining any of his 3 sisters. Bishop Knudsen and other women like her have changed all that. And as a deacon ordained some 18 years ago, I thank her and her sisters for their courageous and difficult journey to their own ordinations. And believe me, it took courage and persistence and stamina and good humor and thick skins to travel that long and arduous journey. Thanks to them, the journey for other women has become, if not pain-free, at least easier and more hospitable than it was for their predecessors. Chilton, I think I speak for all women clergy and for a huge number of male clergy as well when I say thank you. A couple of Sundays ago, the little mission church, Grace Church, on Munjoy Hill in Portland, we were all gathered around a makeshift altar, about 16 of us, and the priest, Jim Adams, was about to begin to celebrate the Eucharist. A little girl, maybe 3 or 4 years old, escaped her mother's grasp and ran over to stand beside Jim. "Great," he said. "You stand right there, Chloe, and help me out." And stand there she did, watching and taking it all in. And I thought to myself, you know, little girl, you may actually be standing right there someday yourself, with that funny white collar around your neck, holding a chalice, breaking the bread, and bringing hope and joy and laughter to a little congregation like that, or maybe to a big congregation, maybe here, maybe anywhere USA, maybe anywhere in the world. So I say again, Chilton, on this wonderfully happy occasion, and on behalf of little girls everywhere, thank you.
And now would Taffy and Elliot Field please come forward? In addition to being active Episcopalians in Maine, Taffy and Elliot are the parents of a young priest, the Reverend Molly Field James, whose entire ordination process took place under Bishop Knudsen's guidance. Molly now serves as a chaplain at Yale New Haven Hospital and as a member of the clergy staff of St. John's Episcopal Church in Essex, Connecticut. Unable to be with us in person, Molly has asked her parents to represent her and to offer their own reflections on Bishop Knudsen's ministry.
It's a great honor for me to be here today on behalf of our daughter Molly to honor Chilton But I have to tell you first, before I read Molly's letter, that the reason Molly's not here today is because she and her husband volunteered as her husband's an engineer, and they volunteer with an inner city Hartford high school robotics team. And they're in a competition in Annapolis today, and she said on our way in by phone that they're in second place. I'm going to read Molly's letter, and then Elliot has a few words of his own. It is a privilege to join in celebration with the Maine Women's Hall of Fame as it honors and celebrates Bishop Knudsen. I am sorry that previous commitment prevented me from being able to be with you all in person. Please accept this letter as my contribution from a distance. And now I want to digress just a second from the letter and ask you please all to close your eyes and keep them closed until I finish Molly's letter. So that you can imagine that this is Molly speaking. Let me begin by describing myself a bit. I am 26, and if I were standing before you, I would be wearing a clerical collar. I am an Episcopal priest. I have the great privilege of calling Bishop Knudsen my bishop. And since I am only 26, she has been my bishop for almost a third of my life, and it has certainly been an important third. I was only a teenager when she came to our great state, and as a child I was not much aware of the diocese or the wider church. I am what we call a cradle Episcopalian, but I did not grow up thinking I would be a minister. It was not until late high school that I became more involved in church, and it was in college that I became aware of my call to the ministry. I went straight from college to seminary and was ordained to the priesthood only months after I graduated, so I am about as young as you can get in this business. Throughout my discernment and ordination process, Bishop Knudsen has been the most wonderful mentor and shepherd. From the very first moment I met her, I have been in awe of her. She is a truly remarkable woman. She has tremendous gifts, and my life has been blessed for having known her. All of you who have met her will know what I am talking about. You feel blessed just by being in her presence. She exudes grace, calm, and care. In conversation with her, she is so completely present, it seems as though the whole world slows down. She is a very, very busy woman, so much so that she has to plan her schedule months in advance. Yet when you are with her, you have the sense she has all the time in the world to hear whatever it is on your mind and heart. The first time I went to meet with her, I was rather nervous, as the meeting was the first step towards seeking ordination. Bishop Knudsen was her warm, welcoming self, and I was put immediately at ease. We had a wonderful conversation about my own faith journey, my hopes for the future, and the structure of the discernment process. At the end of our conversation, she offered a beautiful prayer. She took the same care and attention with that prayer as she had with our conversation. The Holy Spirit's presence was palpable, her prayer that supported and helped me. I am still filled with a sense of joy and peace when I think of that visit and that prayer. It was a moment which provided a first glimpse into a truth I have had reaffirmed countless times in the years since then. Bishop Knudsen is a person through whom we meet God. She is a window to the divine, to all that is good and holy. In her presence, the truth of faith, the truth that humanity is created and loved, that there is a spark of the divine in each one of us, is affirmed. She is compassionate and caring. She continually exhibits a fundamental respect for all people and all faith traditions. She has great integrity and strength of spirit. She speaks her truth clearly and firmly. She is in a position of great power, and yet she exercises her authority with humility and grace. She leads by example, inspiring those around her. These are some of the qualities that make her an extraordinary leader. There is no doubt in my mind that the Episcopal Church, the state of Maine, and ultimately the world is a better place because she is in it. She is an inspiration to us all, but especially to women. As you all no doubt know, the church can be a difficult place for females. There is a strong legacy of patriarchy in the Christian tradition, and many denominations still do not ordain women. Bishop Knudsen became ordained soon after women's ordination was permitted in the church. She has done much to make the church, especially the church in Maine, a safe and welcoming place for women, in the pulpit, at the altar, and in the pews. She has also worked especially hard to make the church a welcoming place for young women, like me, who feel called to the ordained ministry. Because of her leadership and example, at no time in my ordination process was my gender ever an issue or problem. Bishop Knudsen had done such great work that gender was just considered another gift for ministry.